So, how are we doing? Doing pretty good? Good. I feel so funny every time I make a video because I often make these videos 2, 3, 4 videos in a row, like one after another in the same time frame, same day. And so I ask you that question all the time, how you doing? And like I know that you don't know that, like you're watching these videos at different intervals, maybe you just discovered me, maybe just watching this video for the first time, but I think it's funny, you know. So how about we learn how to make a catnip bloom tincture. Y'all see me make a catnip tincture, but maybe like it's August right now when you're watching this and you're like, I missed the catnip tincture season. I missed it. Right now you're like all of her bloom or all of her leaves are dried up and looking yellow, and I you know, it's not the best thing to make a tincture out of, right? It's not a very lush looking plant. I've got a tip for you. The reason that her plants her leaves aren't looking very lush is because right now she's focusing on these big beautiful blooms which will turn into her seeds, and these are fantastic medicine, just fantastic. Ooh, she's potent. I opened this bag. I've got a bag worth here, and she just bursts in. So I'm going to show you how to make a catnip bloom tincture, because you definitely have not missed the catnip tincture season. You've just missed the catnip leaf tincture season. And now, the only real difference between the bloom and the leaf is that I feel that the bloom is a little bit more potent, because she's full of this plant's volatile oils. Which means what makes her have a strong scent like catnip does. And catnip is pretty good for anxiety attacks, menstrual cramps, stomach aches, headaches, insomnia, nightmares, restless leg syndrome, all kinds of stuff. She really just helps us she's just a really mellow lady. And you know how a lot of us were pretty, you know, dumb kids and maybe tried to smoke like some catnip to get high. You know, like that old nasty stuff that, you know, our parents would buy from the store for the cats or whatever, and it never did anything besides give us a headache. Well, that's just because it was old and gross. If we would have known that we could go out there in the spring and we could gather up her fresh leaves and we could cure them and we could roll a nice catnip joint and we could mellow out like it was a pretty powerful indica, and our cramps would go away and our headaches would go away, well, maybe you wouldn't have eventually started smoking weed. But I'm getting off track here. But so that's what you can basically use a catnip tincture for. She's definitely going to alter you. She's going to calm you down. I like the bloom tincture for sudden anxiety attacks. Like, she's really potent. It's like, hey, let's get our mind out of this bad circular loop of anxiety thoughts. She's just going to say, whoa, 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 calm yourself the hell down. Take a breath and just relax all the muscles in your body. So she's pretty good for that. So are you ready for how complicated this is? You're going to take your catnip blooms and you're going to stick them in a jar that you can fill up all the way. You can handle this, right? I'm pretty sure you can. I'm pretty sure you're smart enough to go out there and just harvest these bloom tops off of these plants. And of course, if you still see some green leaf in there, by all means grab it up, because that's good medicine too. Make a tincture right along with it. And we're just going to fill her up most of the way. And you want to, again, pick a jar that you can fill up for the most part all the way. You can see all of her little blooms falling off here. All of the way. You're not going to smash it down in there. It can be kind of fluffy, you know. Woo, she is angry at me. Do you know that plants, when they want to, like, trying to, like, defend themselves, like, they put off a stronger smell. So when you start cutting the catnip, it doesn't just get a stronger smell because you're like, oh, I'm cutting it so I smell it stronger. It's getting a stronger smell because you're disturbing it. And it's using these volatile oils as a defense system. In fact, that's what volatile oils are for the most part, is they are a defense system against insects. But they also are an attractant system for other insects, things like that. But she smells strong. Oh, dropped the camera. Let me fix that. That's how you know that I'm like super high quality video making. I've got it just propped up on a knife that the handle like works really well for it for the most part. So now that you've put your catnip in a jar, your catnip blooms in a jar, you are just going to pop the top off of your vodka, because that makes it pour easier. And you're going to dump 100 proof vodka right over the top. Now, the reason we use 100 proof vodka, and you all have probably heard me say it before, is because she's 50% alcohol, 50% water. That is what 100 proof means. And it's important to do that because we want our alcohol soluble properties and the water soluble properties. Meaning, we want more from this plant ally than just her most potent attributes. I want all of her subtleties too. I want all of the things that make her a whole individual being. And you are just not going to get that when you use grain alcohol. And grain alcohol doesn't refer to what the alcohol is made out of. It refers to the fact that it's like 190 proof, meaning it's like enough to like make your stomach bleed. And it's doing the same thing to the plants. It's just so strong. It's going in there and it's ripping it apart. And there's no water content whatsoever. So you're only getting the strongest properties of the plant. And you might think that that's a great thing. You're like, oh yeah, I really like that idea. I want it super strong and potent. But I'm telling you right now, balanced is better unless you're keen to have a bad reaction. Because even these safe, simple plant allies, you start messing around with grain alcohol, you are very likely to have an adverse reaction. In fact, only time I've ever seen people have a bad reaction to tinctures, even from, you know, just safe, simple plant medicine, is when they're using grain alcohol and usually dried plant matter. So my two rules, big old rules, are nothing above 100 proof. If you can't get 100 proof vodka, try 80 proof. That works fine. It's got to let it sit a little longer. And only be making tinctures with fresh plant matter. Because what happens when this stuff dries is that your water-based properties that make her whole and well-balanced evaporate off. And you're really only left with the most volatile properties, which is great if you're working with oils, you know, because you're trying to pull that stuff out, and oil's kind of soothing and balances her out in that way. Not so great when you're making tinctures. So you're smart enough to do that, right? Put blooms in a jar and dump 100 proof vodka over it. And then you're going to take a label because you want to remember what you've made, right? And you're going to write catnip bloom and 100 proof vodka, so you know what's in there. And then if it's wild crafted, write where you got it from. And I'm going to check off that it's a tincture and wildcrafted, and I'm going to put the date that I began her. Now, you don't have to make these complicated labels. You can just use a piece of masking tape, anything that's going to let you know what's in your jar, when you started it, and where you got it from. And now you want to do the where you got it from bit because, you know, maybe you like this tincture, this catnip bloom tincture than the one you made from plants you got from somewhere else. Different plants. They're the same plants with the same properties, but different environments and different seasons and different factors can make one a little stronger, a little weaker, a little more specific to, say, maybe cramps, and maybe some more specific to anxiety, that kind of deal. So just write down where you got it from. And then I'm just going to sit this in a cool, dark place for 6 to 8 weeks, and then I'm going to strain and use as needed. You do not need to make a ½ gallon's worth of tincture like I did. You don't even have to make a quart. You can make a pint. You can use baby food jars. You can get yourself this ½ gallon's worth of vodka, and you can make yourself like 15, 20 different medicines if you're just using all these tiny little jars, and you're like, but that's not very much. But here's the deal. We aren't taking shots of this. I mean, we could. Probably wouldn't enjoy ourselves very much, but we are taking drops of this at a time. I like to usually, you know, take 5, 15 drops of catnip tincture, and so, you know, you get yourself a little tiny, like the ½ pint mason jars, you know, for jelly. It's going to last you a long time if you're just taking drops at a time, right? So you don't need to be making these big old batches like I do. And again, your labels don't have to be as complicated either. I just have to make batch numbers and things like that that you don't have to worry about. So You are definitely smart enough to make a catnip bloom tincture, and you probably haven't missed your entire catnip season. So get out there and start looking. Find her bloom. Honestly, this applies to, she's in a mint family. Catnip is a mint. This applies to pretty much any mint family is in full-on bloom right now. Get out there and find her. Find her. See what she can do for you. Get curious. You are smart enough to do this. You are smart enough to do this. You are smart enough to do this, and you don't need to pay somebody thousands of dollars to teach you how to do it. You can do this shit for free. You're smart enough. You can read online. We're in the era of free information, and there's no damn such thing as a certified herbalist in the United States. So don't go paying people for something that won't certify you in nothing. Teach yourself, okay? So if you like my videos, like hearing me rant about stuff, make sure to turn on notifications as well as subscribe to my channel. It helps you see when I post stuff, and it helps other people see me, which is really helpful because then they can discover how to make this medicine too, and they can learn that they're smart enough too. And then like and comment so I know you're here with me, so I don't feel alone, so I know that I'm being watched. And then I just really like the interaction, and speaking of that, come find me on Instagram. I have a huge Instagram account where I'm really interactive with everybody. I talk about all kinds of stuff, not just herbalism, because there's more to healing than plant medicine. And then find my website, learn more about me, just come find me, come interact. And all that stuff you can find my bio here on YouTube. Whew. Okay, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time, okay? Bye.